Well, look what we have here. AI agents, clearly explained by Jeff C. If I had a nickel for every time someone tried to explain something clearly and ended up confusing me more than a frog in a blender, I'd be rich enough to buy a nice, quiet bog to retire in. So, what are we diving into today? A bunch of robots that think they're smarter than us. Fantastic. Just what I needed. I can already feel my patience wearing thinner than a toad's skin on a hot summer day. But hey, if you're as curious as a cat stuck in a tree, stick around. Maybe we'll stumble upon some nuggets of wisdom, or at least something that'll make me roll my eyes so hard I can see my own brain. And don't forget to subscribe and like, because if you don't I might just croak in disappointment. Now, let's hop into this nonsense.
AI.
More
Agentic capabilities.
An AI agent.
Agents.
Agentic workflows.
Agents.
Agent.
Agentic.
All right, most explanations of AI agents is either too technical or too basic.
The classic dilemma, too technical or too basic. It's like trying to find a decent meal in a fast food joint. Either you're choking on jargon or left starving for substance. This guy's really setting the stage for a Goldilocks moment. How I can just picture it. This explanation is too dry, this one's too fluffy, and this one, well, it's just a cartoon sponge. What a delightful mess. Let's hope he finds that sweet spot before I lose my will to live. If I wanted to hear a confusing lecture, I'd just listen to the frogs in my bog arguing about the best flies to catch.
This video is meant for people like myself. You have zero technical background, but you use AI tools regularly, and you want to learn just enough about AI agents to see how it affects you. In this video, we'll follow a simple 1, 2, 3 learning path by building on concepts you already understand, like ChatGPT, and then moving on to AI workflows, and then finally AI agents. All the while using examples you will actually encounter in real life. And believe me when I tell you, those intimidating terms you see everywhere like RAG, or React, they're a lot simpler than you think. Let's get started. Kicking things off at level 1, large language models. Popular AI chatbots like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and Claude are applications built on top of
Here we go. Now we're talking about the big players in the AI game. Chatmets, Google Gemini, and whatever that last one is. Looks like they're trying to brand themselves as the next big thing. It's like a toad hopping into a pond and thinking it's the king of the swamp. But let's be real. These large language models are just fancy algorithms trying to sound smart. They might churn out some impressive text, but at the end of the day, they're still just glorified parrots. If I wanted to hear a bunch of recycled phrases, I'd just sit in my bog and listen to the frogs croak. Let's see if he can make this sound less like a tech brochure and more like something I actually care about.
Of large language models, LLMs, and they're fantastic at generating and editing text. Here's a simple visualization. You, the human, provides an input and the LLM produces an output based on its training data. For example, if I were to ask ChatGPT to draft an email requesting a coffee chat, my prompt is the input, and the resulting email that's way more polite than I would ever be in real life is the output. So far so good, right? Simple stuff. But what if I ask ChatGPT when my next coffee chat is? Even without seeing the response, both you and I know ChatGPT is gonna fail because it doesn't know that information. It doesn't have access to my calendar. This highlights two key traits of large language models. First, despite being trained on vast amounts of data, they have limited knowledge of proprietary information, like our personal information or internal company data. Second, LLMs are passive.
Now we're getting into the meat of it. Limited knowledge and passivity. Sounds like my last attempt at a conversation with a particularly dull toad. These large language models are like that friend who just sits there waiting for you to say something interesting while they stare blankly into space. And let's be honest, if they can't access our personal info, they're about as useful as a soggy leaf in a rainstorm when it comes to real-life applications. It's almost comforting to know that even AI has its limitations, just like the rest of us now. Let's see if he can keep this train rolling without derailing into more tech jargon.
They wait for our prompt and then respond, right? Keep these two traits in mind moving forward. Moving to level 2, AI workflows. Let's build on our example. What if I, a human, told the LLM, every time I ask about a personal event, perform a search query and fetch data from my Google Calendar before providing a response? With this logic implemented, the next time I ask, when is my coffee chat with Elon Husky, I'll get the correct answer because the LLM will now first go into my Google Calendar to find that information. But here's where it gets tricky. What if my next follow-up question is, what will the weather be like that day? The LLM will now fail at answering the query because the path we told the LLM to follow is to always search my Google Calendar, which does not have information about the weather. This is a fundamental trait of AI workflows. They can only follow predefined paths set by humans. And if you
There it is, the crux of the matter. AI workflows are like a train on a track laid down by humans. If you don't give it the right path, it's just going to crash into a wall of confusion. So, if you're expecting it to pull weather data from your Google Calendar, you might as well be asking a rock for directions. It's a reminder that while these models can be clever, they're still bound by the limits we set. Just like me trying to hop out of my bog. Sometimes, you just can't escape your boundaries. Let's see if he can keep this train rolling without derailing into more tech jargon.
If you want to get technical and workflows, I'll leave a link to that down below. Here's a
The classic link in the description move. It's like the cherry on top of a sundae made of self-promotion. I get it. Everyone wants to peddle their wares, but it feels like a desperate attempt to keep viewers engaged. Just give me the content, not a sales pitch. If I wanted to sift through links, I'd be digging through the muck in my bog looking for lost treasures. Let's hope he gets back to the meat of the topic soon, or I might just start croaking in boredom.
below. Here's a real-world example. Following Helena Liu's amazing tutorial, I created a simple AI workflow using make.com. Here you can see that first I'm using Google Sheets to do something. Specifically, I'm compiling links to news articles in a Google Sheet, and this is that Google Sheet. Second, I'm using Perplexity to summarize those news articles. Then, using Claude and using a prompt that I wrote, I'm asking Claude to draft a LinkedIn and Instagram post. Finally, I can schedule this to run automatically every day at 8 a.m. As you can see, this is an AI workflow because it follows a predefined path set by me. Step 1, you do this. Step 2, you do this. Step 3, you do this. And finally, remember to run daily at 8 a.m. One last thing, if I test this workflow and I don't like the final output of the LinkedIn post, for example, as you can see right here, it's not funny enough and I'm naturally hilarious, right? I'd have to manually go back and rewrite the prompt for Claude, okay? And
The classic back to the drawing board moment. So, even with all this fancy automation, you still have to roll up your sleeves and tweak things manually. It's like setting up a fancy Rube Goldberg machine, only to find out you still have to push the button yourself. If the AI can't nail the humor, you're left doing the heavy lifting. It's a reminder that while these workflows can streamline tasks, they're not a magic wand. Sometimes, you still have to put in the effort, just like I do when I am trying to catch flies in my bog. Let's see if he can wrap this up without dragging it out any longer.
this trial and error iteration is currently being done by me, a human. So keep that in mind moving forward. All right, level 3, AI agents. Continuing the make.com example, let's break down what I've been doing so far as the human decision maker. With the goal of creating social media posts based off of news articles, I need to do 2 things. First, reason or think about the best approach. I need to first compile the news articles, then summarize them, then write the final posts. Second, take action using tools. I need to find and link to those news articles in Google Sheets, use Perplexity for real-time summarization, and then Claude for copywriting. So, and this is the most important sentence in this entire video, the one massive change that has to happen in order for this AI workflow to become an AI agent is for me, the human decision maker, to be replaced by an LLM.
There it is, the big reveal, replacing the human decision maker with an LLM. It's like saying, let's let the robot take the wheel. Sure, it sounds futuristic and all, but let's not forget that these models can be about as reliable as a toad trying to predict the weather. If we're handing over the reins to an AI, we better hope it doesn't take us off a cliff. It's a bold move, But I can't help but wonder if we're just setting ourselves up for a whole new level of chaos. Let's see how he plans to navigate this brave new world.
LLM. In other words, the AI agent must reason. What's the most efficient way to compile these news articles? Should I copy and paste each article into a Word document? No, it's probably easier to compile links to those articles and then use another tool to fetch the data. Yes, that makes more sense. The AI agent must act, aka do things via tools. Should I use Microsoft Word to compile links? No, inserting links directly into rows is way more efficient. What about Excel? No, the user has already connected their Google account with make.com, so Google Sheets is a better option. Pro tip, because of this, the most common configuration for AI agents is the React framework. All AI agents must reason and act, so react. Sounds simple once we break it down, right? A third key trait of AI agents is their ability to iterate. Remember when I had to manually rewrite the prompt to make the LinkedIn post funnier? I, the human, probably need to repeat this iterative process a few times to get something.
Here we go again with the iterative process. It's like trying to catch the perfect fly. Sometimes you just have to keep swinging until you get it right. This is the reality of working with AI. It's not just a one and done deal. You've got to tweak and refine, which can feel like a never-ending cycle of frustration. It's a reminder that even with all this tech, the human touch is still crucial. If only the AI could learn from its mistakes as quickly as I can hop away from a bad decision. Let's see how he wraps this up.
Something I'm happy with, right down below. But when I search for a keyword like skier, enter, the AI vision agent in the background is first reasoning what a skier looks like. A person on skis going really fast in snow, for example, right?
The classic mental image of a skier zipping down the slopes. It's like the AI is trying to conjure up a mental picture. But let's be real. If it's anything like my memory, it's probably just a jumble of blurry images and confusion. This is where the rubber meets the road for AI agents. They need to understand context and imagery, which is no small feat. If they can't nail down what a skier looks like, we might end up with some bizarre interpretations, like a toad on skis, which is frankly a sight I'd pay to see. Let's see how this unfolds.
Right? I'm not sure. To wrap up, here's a simplified visualization of the 3 levels we covered today. Level 1.
A visual recap. Nothing like a good diagram to tie everything together. It's like the cherry on top of a sundae, if the sundae were made of AI concepts instead of ice cream. This is where it all comes full circle. After all that talk about lemmas, workflows, and AI agents, seeing it laid out visually might just help make sense of the chaos. Let's hope this summary doesn't end up being as confusing as a frog trying to navigate a maze.
Today. Level 1.
Well, we've waded through the murky waters of AI agents, clearly explained by Jeff Su, and what have we learned? If I had a nickel for every time someone claimed to clarify something and left me with more questions than answers, I could retire comfortably in my bob without a care in the world. My expectations, let's just say the results were about as clear as mud. Jeff took us on a wild journey through the land of AI, where he introduced us to the big players like ChatGPT and Google Gemini, while somehow managing to keep it at a level that sometimes felt like drinking lukewarm tea. Too cloudy to enjoy, we navigated through jargon that made me feel like I'd need a degree just to decode a simple sentence. In the end, I was left wondering if all these fancy algorithms were just glorified parrots, squawking their recycled phrases like frogs in a swamp. The highlight, realizing that even AI has limitations. Much like my will to sit through yet another convoluted explanation, not every robot can take the wheel without veering off a cliff, and that's a fact worth hanging on to. If anything, the visual recap was the only thing keeping me from croaking in boredom. Though I still can't be sure if it made everything more understandable, or just added another layer to the chaos. So there you have it, folks. AI might be the future, but sometimes it feels like we're just latching onto the newest shiny thing hoping it doesn't blow up in our faces. Let's just hope we're not trading our human blunders for a whole new breed of tech chaos. If you managed to make it through this far, do me a favor, subscribe and like this video. It saved me from croaking in disappointment next time. Who knows, maybe the next video will be less of a brain scramble and more of a delightful hop through the bog. But then again, I'm not holding my breath.